You're listening to Earlville Library District's recorded book club meeting for adults from August 29th, 2022, discussing Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. All readers present have given consent to this recording, and all of their opinions are their own. Though we always endeavor to keep our discussions family-friendly, we cannot guarantee that the content of each book is suitable for all audiences. Viewer or listener discretion is advised. You can attend these meetings in person each month, too. Stop by the library to see what we're reading next. Welcome to Book Club.
So I'll ask, a general sort of question. Overall, what did you think? Liked it, didn't like it, could take it or leave it?
I liked it. I liked it. I think it's definitely different from a lot of the things nowadays that are written. Okay, compared to the book I picked up for our book club to this book, they're totally two different.
They're very
worlds.
different. Yeah, you missed a weird one.
Oh, they're
that
totally
very
two
first
different.
one we did.
They're totally two different worlds.
Yeah.
And I think I appreciate it. I heard that you listened to it on audio.
Right.
I listened to it on audio, and I really liked it that way. I don't know if I would have been able to sit through it myself, like with the book itself, if I didn't have the audio.
Well, I had almost finished the book when I got reading the book when I got the audio book. So I'm like, okay. Well, I wasn't sure how. It's like, okay, I got to this point. Well, this is where I was reading when I read it, and I'm like, okay. But I did like it.
Yeah, overall, you had a positive response?
Yes.
I told Miranda this morning, because she's another librarian here, and she also read it, but she really loves it. And I told her that I think it's a good book, but I didn't like it. Because it made me sad.
Yeah. Seeing this the little girl, the way she had to grow up by herself. The kids today would not. They would just sit there and they would wait for somebody to come take care of them.
Yeah.
And she took care of herself.
I can't believe how she, got over all of those unsurmountable odds. And
Yes.
That's nuts. So, I was just always so upset every time everything went wrong for her that it was, emotionally draining to be tugged along this poor kid's life. So, yeah, I do not pick this kind of thing because I want something that's, going to be at least happy at the end.
Yes.
But I think it was a good book. I enjoyed reading it, but it was so sad.
It was definitely sad. I will give it that. It was definitely sad. But I think I just liked her progression from when she was little to when she was older.
I was annoyed at first when they would switch back and forth between the police investigation that was happening years in the future and then her as a 5-year-old. I was getting kind of disoriented by the brokenness.
Oh yeah, it was broken.
It started to mesh really nicely, and then when it all caught up and met at the end, I really appreciated the flow. I thought
it just flowed right.
Yeah, it was nice.
It was broken, but very at the beginning. It seemed, but once you get into that routine of it, it's so easy that you don't even see it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a murder, but you're not sure who and why. And then you start to think, well, maybe this person did it. I mean, even with the spoiler alert, you're like, I know, but it really seems like somebody else did it.
I know. I was going through lots of different theories, maybe it was
too many theories.
This person, maybe it was this person. I thought maybe it was. I really wanted it to be
Tate.
Well, I wanted it to be the fiance.
Yeah.
I wanted her to have done it, and that to have kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, that really would have.
But I thought Tate could have done it. I thought Mom could have done it because she was mad that he had been hiding all this stuff from her. I really didn't want her to have done it.
I didn't want her to have done it either. I just think it was such a just thrown in at the end. She didn't know how she.
That was so hard.
Yeah.
She didn't know how she wanted to end it, but then let Tate find all this stuff years down the road.
I was all settled to never know.
Right.
She was acquitted or whatever.
Yeah, leave it up in the air.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, we're never gonna find out, and usually I can tell because there's enough of the book left that you're okay, well, there's still something we're gonna discover. It was the last page. I had no way to know that there was more coming. Right. They're boom. Yep, she did it, and she wrote this poem about it and published it. Yes. And I was oh man.
Oh, I thought she didn't publish it.
No, it was the one, yeah. I
She
wasn't
didn't
sure-
publish that
I
one?
thought she
No,
did.
that wasn't one of the ones that was published, but it was,
Just one she wrote?
she wrote it, yeah.
Ah.
Because it was sealed up there with the
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the last time. Yeah,
the
the probably too
fireflies, because when she was
excited.
be discussing, the insects and that, different
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that they did along the way. She goes, yeah, just like the firefly.
Yeah, I had to read it twice actually. As I read the poem, and I was like, whatever. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it really does mean what I think
Yeah.
it means.
Yeah, because she discussed the fireflies really early in the book.
I even wrote in here, is this like foreshadowing her being the murderer before I even knew like what the situation was?
Well, I was so mad because I didn't see it when she remodeled the house that she did not want the stove to be taken out.
Yeah, that went over my head too.
Oh, so yeah, at the end of that I was like, why are you at the stove tape? Like, what are you doing? Like, stop messing around with this stove. It's just a stove.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, duh.
I thought it was
Everything
just-
was under it.
she wanted like a memory. I thought she wanted to hold on to something that
So
she
something,
had positive
Yeah,
memories
her
of.
mother cooked on the stove,
Yeah.
and so that was
Something that she could
yeah.
have a good memory of, because so many of them were bad.
Yeah.
And that she maybe didn't want to forget her past,
Yeah.
and grow away from it. I don't know. It was like, well, fine, she has an old kitchen, no one cares.
Yeah, I didn't.
Right.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
I,
I was just,
didn't catch that. I
that-
just said,
was the thing that, like, I think upset me the most. And I was like, I didn't catch that. She didn't change the stove.
yeah, that's the thing. I didn't catch it.
Not at all. It went right over my head.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because like just you saying it now, I'm like, oh right, yeah, the kitchen. Nope. Which is, I think, what the author wants.
That's
she
the
snuck
voice
that
she
right in
wanted.
there.
Oh yeah. So you read it twice and go, how did I not pick up on that?
Yeah, she bamboozled us as she did everyone else.
So that was good.
But I think I understand why she would have killed him. Totally understand.
I do, yeah,
totally
for
get
sure.
it. Yeah. But it just seems so out of left field.
Yeah, I was bummed.
And her planning, her plotting the whole bus trip back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah,
That I know
Yeah.
she got the list, the timetable for the bus, but it was like,
but she needed that to be able to meet her publisher anyway.
Yeah.
she wrote down the entire list.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just a little sad because I wanted her to be to come out on top, and I wanted Chase to be revealed as a scumbag.
Oh yeah.
But I wanted her to do it like the good way. I wanted her to follow all the rules and like have him have gone to jail or gotten in trouble, however he was going to get in trouble, and for them then to recognize like, oh, we've been so mean to you, we shouldn't have been. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about you getting away with murder.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it either. I'm like, it's not like her character. Like, if she's angry in that moment, totally understandable. Like, or he tripped or whatever.
She just very calmly planned it. Like she said, like the fireplace, she just very calmly planned it. Okay, this is what they do.
Yeah.
They just,
To her, it was like common nature, like animalistic
Yeah.
tendencies. So she was just taking care of a problem.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the ending and our overall. I just have a bunch of questions that I came up with while I was reading that I'll ask. You can feel free to pop in with your own thoughts and whatever. We could go wherever from here. But so in the beginning, I had such a hard time understanding why Mom and all the siblings left and no one took Kaya with them.
Oh, that bothered
I
me.
get why they
Yeah.
left. I was like, yeah, bad situation.
But they never took her.
But why didn't they just all
Or
leave
come back
together?
and get her. Or come back and get her. Yeah.
Yeah. I understand like Mom was in a bad place and probably suffering some brain damage and stuff, but just scoop her up and go away with her. Why did we leave her there?
Well, and that's the thing that I like with the mom situation. Like, there's probably something wrong at that moment in time, and that's why she left. But the thing that bothered me was that let's write a letter to Dad. Let's write a letter saying, hey,
Yeah.
come get me the kids.
And by then they were all gone.
Yeah. And I'm
But
like, what
yeah,
took
Mom
you that
didn't
long?
even know that.
Yeah. And I'm like,
It took so long,
Yeah.
and it was so frustrating that was the thing that like severed the only small good relationship Kaya had started to build with her dad.
Yeah.
They were like just sort of starting to get along. Mom writes this note and it's all done.
Gone. Yeah.
That was rough. I just didn't understand why no one took her, especially Jody. They seemed to be the closest. And when he left, I was like, well, just go together. Why can't you both go?
Right. I mean, it makes sense.
Later, he's like, well, I should have taken you. I'm like, yeah, hindsight's 20/20.
It's
Yeah,
like 20 years down the road. Okay.
yeah.
Because, I mean, I guess the kids, being kids, can't really be expected to have had that wherewithal. But like, Mom, just take them with you.
Yeah.
And I think some of the older ones had left before
Yeah.
Mom
Yeah.
left, right?
No, I think that when she left, then they kind of drifted
Oh,
off.
they all started, okay.
They started leaving after that. But,
So
but they were a lot older than that. I mean, they were probably older teenagers.
Yeah.
And they could get a job, they could do something, but they couldn't, they didn't feel like they could, probably didn't feel like they could support her.
Because, like, if Kaya could get a job at 5 selling mussels and stuff, like, they all could have worked it out.
Yeah, they said it could have worked out, yeah.
Yeah, I was frustrated by that and just felt really bad for Kaya. And I understood her like longing to not be alone, but also the comfort in being alone because everyone else had left.
Yes.
So why would you want to risk putting yourself in that position again? So every time more people would leave, like when Tate went away to college, I was like, oh, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Again?
Yeah.
You can't do this
Everybody's
to her.
leaving you.
Yeah, it's like, wow. And she didn't just bounce back. Obviously, it was hard. But, like, she soldiered on. And I thought that took a lot of strength.
Oh, yeah. I definitely.
Well, not just teaching, when he helped teach her, help her
Yeah.
learn to read.
Yeah.
And the books that she ended up reading is like, she's not stupid. She
No.
just couldn't read, and there's a lot of people out there who aren't stupid. They just can't read. As soon as they learn how to read, it opens up a whole world.
Yeah.
And she was writing books.
Yeah.
She
Not even
bounced
just
back from that.
books. She was writing, like, research
Research
novels.
books.
Yeah. On a subject people have very little to go off of. But, yeah. It's amazing that she found such a niche and ended up being so successful.
Yeah.
Considering where she came from, but also still a little mad at Tate for
Oh, no,
Yes.
no.
Yes, he didn't.
leaving her. Chase is obviously the major bad guy, but Chase reminded me of like that whole situation. Her mom and her dad would have just repeated themselves with her and Chase.
Yeah.
Chase felt like the kind of father that Kaya had. I was like, ooh, that would not have been good.
No. I think that's just, like, I see why she wanted to kill him, like I said, like, that made sense. But I kind of wanted it to be Tate who killed Chase.
Well, that's what I thought.
And I also wanted Jumpin.
Yeah, I thought
To
between,
be-
between the two of them, it's like I figured
Because it made
she's
sense.
out of town, and there, convenient. There, she's out of town. She can't possibly have done it.
Oh, yeah. That would have been good too.
Well, because they were talking as she left or whatever, Tate and Jumpin were both talking.
Mm.
And the way she made it sound was like, are you the ones who killed Chase? Did you kill him?
And
Yeah.
then when the airboat came after Tate, you're like, what? And then you find out that his dad had died. That's
I
why they were
thought
chasing him
that's-
down. Yeah, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe they figured something out or found something and said then now they're going to charge him. It's like, no, his dad had died.
Yeah, there were a lot of, like, fake outs. That's a good word for
Red
it.
herrings.
Mhm. Which is good. It keeps you guessing, keeps
Yes.
you interested, but every time it wouldn't pan out, I was like, okay, well, what now?
Yes.
But yeah, craziness. I guess I said a little bit about this. Like, how did you feel about her relationship with her dad when it started to turn for the better? Did you like that? Did you not? Or did you know it was only short-lived? Or did you think they were going to build a life? I kind of was like, oh, maybe they're going to like work it out and be a functioning family.
Hopeful. That
Yeah.
would be the way, yes.
I
You
was-
hope that they were going to.
I was
It's like,
Hopeful.
but because he had his own demons, it was just a matter of time before they took over. So that was just the letter from the mom was just, that was something else would have happened along the way that would have set him off. So
That's true. That's a good way to think about it. Because like I had been mad at mom for sending the letter after all these years, and like she couldn't know, but that she screwed that up for Kaya. But I guess that's a good point. Like if not that letter, it would have been something else.
I I did appreciate that because then, I mean, Dad was seeing that, like, people were leaving because of him. Like, he knew. He's like, oh, well, I'll bond a little bit with Kaya, you know, I'll teach her some ways, you know, hey, can we get some groceries, you know.
A little effort.
A little effort. At least it was something to try and go into the right direction. So it gave me some positive hope. But like you said, I mean, something else would have happened along the road that would have turned out like it did with 11.
Yeah, you're right. It was probably just a matter of time because he was too far gone.
Yeah.
I think we talked about how incredible it was that Kaya built herself such a life out of literally nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just the self-determination to get through and make it work and live off of selling mussels to jumping. Like, I don't know if they ever said specifically how much money she would get, but like barely enough to buy gas and some grits to live off of.
Yeah.
And I think that's nuts. Just like, and she was feeding her gulls, so she was probably buying, you know, supplies for
And
that.
grits are cheap. We were talking about that at home today. So grits, I could get a 5-pound bag for 99 cents. And that was in the 70s. So
Okay.
she could probably, she said it was a nickel for this big bag of grits. And I don't know if you've ever made grits, but
No.
a cup of grits makes a big pot of grits.
Oh.
So it's like the cheapest breakfast food that you can have, and eggs were
It's kind of like
way back when eggs were a lot cheaper. I said my kids lived off grits and eggs because that was the cheapest thing I had that I could feed. But that was, the grits were very cheap, and then her learning how to make grits, I'm like, okay, I understand it. Well, you understand where you're coming. Figure out how to make them. Yes, I could go with that. But I like at the end, and now the grits are sold. They're called polenta, and
Oh yeah.
that was the first time I saw polenta. I'm like, it's cheese grits. It's just grits. It is grits. It is cornmeal mush. It is grits, and you gave this fancy name to it. But that's what she was buying. She would buy a nickel bag of that, and that would last for a little kid.
Sure.
She'd have enough for herself and feed the gulls, and that's.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing, and she must have had that same meal over and over again for like her
That-
whole life.
And the turnip greens, it was like the
Yeah.
greens from the garden until the garden got overrun, and then she revitalized
Yeah,
Jumpin's wife, then she revitalized the garden and got that going, so that was something else.
I
And-
suppose. Yeah, I thought that was great.
But how many, the kids today, they would just sit there and wait for somebody to come take care of them.
They would just perish.
They would perish, just like, yes, we're just gonna sit here, somebody will come along and take care of us, and nobody was, where she was when she went to pay the taxes on the land, well, this is what it's classified as, and she had so much of it, and the taxes were like $5 or $10 a year.
Yeah,
It's
I was
like,
like,
oh, but you've got
whoa.
like this many years, so it's like $800 in taxes for him, back taxes for him. But nobody was gonna pay the taxes to get the land, because nobody wanted the land. But then there was a developer that was coming in, and it's like, no, we don't, we're gonna save this land, but she
I
had
thought
done that.
that was going to be another disappointment. I thought she was going to try to pay the taxes, and then like if something was going to fall through, and that was going to be another disappointment. So I was so
Or
glad.
find out that, they didn't own the land and
Yeah, I was so glad, like relieved
Yes,
when
that was
she
the one
really
thing
did
she
own
did.
it. It's like, oh, thank goodness. At least she's got this. There's nothing else.
Yes. But to have, the initiative to go down and find out.
Yeah.
That's
As
a
her,
lot.
like,
Yeah.
kind of social pariah status to just, get it done. But I mean, that's how she did life.
Yeah.
She just got it done.
I need to do it, yeah. You're not gonna like me at school, and Tate's gonna teach you to read. I'm gonna read, and a
Yeah.
little sponge here, just reading everything I get my hands on.
I love that she read nonfiction too. I don't know that it was ever necessarily Tate's design to give her like science books. I mean, I think maybe he piggybacked off of her interest in all
Yeah,
of the
they
things.
used books from the high school, and those are probably the ones that they got. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. But like, had she started in a different way, if she started reading fiction and got lost in stories and magical, could be's, she might have had a different life than like she was just immediately sucked into this is what you do. You read and you learn and you gain knowledge. And I was like,
And she was learning about what she was interested in, because she'd been collecting the feathers and different things forever, and then she was finding out different things, the feathers, and and watching the different insects and
yeah.
plants and everything.
And she could like recognize, yes, I've seen them do this, or they do behave this way, or whatever. I thought it's such a good thing that she got sent in that direction, because it could have been different.
Yeah.
If she hadn't gotten all of that, like, good factual knowledge stuff.
I know as I grew up, is that I was outside all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So like I learned how to do certain things outside. I, hung out with cousins and all that other stuff. So like nowadays when kids are like, I play on a tablet. I'm like,
That's
I
not
didn't have a tablet.
Yeah. My granddaughter's like, but I've got this tummy ache. I say, it's because you're not doing anything. You're sitting inside all day long. You don't get out. But there's nobody around to get out. We used to, the neighborhood was full of kids. You'd get out and you'd be playing till the street lights came on. You could go out and play.
Yeah.
And now they're just, kids are few and far between in in the neighborhoods. Like they're not.
Yeah, I used to ride my bike all around with my friends and stuff. I remember that was like the thing to do for us. We would get on our bikes and go ride all around. And yeah, when it got a certain amount of dark, we had to be home. And I would spend all evening out. I don't remember ever being hot, which is funny. Like nowadays, I complain all summer long. But as a kid, I don't think I was ever hot. I was just like, let's go!
Yeah, you just don't think about it at that point.
Yeah, no, that's not a thing anymore. I have like nieces and nephews who get together and at holidays and stuff, and the kids will just be sitting there on their cell phones or whatever. I'm like, well, it's a different time.
Yeah, it's definitely a different time than it was then.
But yeah, this was definitely before that was a possibility too. Not that she would have known about any of that,
Right.
but she was.
But she was out in the woods all discovering everything. And I liked the reading, not the reading shack though. Well, it wasn't reading shack. She didn't call it the reading shack?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was funny. I wanted to know how different that one was from her shack.
Yeah, it was probably more of like a fishing, like if the guys were out fishing, it'd be somewhere they could just, drop a sleeping bag. And it wasn't
Just a few walls.
It had walls and a roof and that, but it wasn't. Yeah, it's more like a shed.
Because like that's how I
house.
had been picturing her house.
Mhm.
And then she's like, I went to this reading shack, and I'm like, this can't be much different.
Yeah,
Than
yeah,
yours.
Yeah.
It's not like she had running water. It's not like she had electricity. It's like, ooh, it's the same.
Yes.
Just another location.
Yeah, just somewhere else that less people, because she ended up showing a few people
Yeah.
the home, which got her into trouble later. Not on her fault, but like, unfortunately,
Yeah.
she could be found more easily. So that provided another layer of
Protection.
yeah. But I was like, you're talking about this shack like it's bare bones and nothing. I'm like, that's your house, dear.
Well, it might not have had windows. Might have just had, just spaces. It's hard to describe the backwoods. It probably was somebody's home at one time, but the way she said it almost sounded like like I said, when the guys were not fishing or hunting or something, that was where they would just stop. But she didn't even act like it had a stove, any source of heat and everything. It was just
Just a room
yeah.
or whatever.
It had a roof on it.
Yeah, served her purpose, but yeah, I thought that was
Like say she took food out there, like that she didn't have refrigeration to begin with, but take canned goods and stuff she could leave out there, stuff that wouldn't attract animals, in cans and there.
Yeah, I always wanted there to be alligators because
That's what I kept thinking. I'm like, but they're North Carolina. They're too far north for the alligators.
yeah, that's what I didn't know.
And that's what I kept. Well, that's what I'm halfway through the book, but there's no alligators. Oh yeah, they're in North Carolina. They don't have alligators.
Every time they were like sitting on the beach or like wading into the water, I was like, oh, there's alligators.
We're too far north for that. No. We have snakes up here. There's snakes.
Oh,
There's
well,
snakes.
that'll
I
keep
think
me
she
out
would,
too.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not going in there.
Well, going back to the beginning of our discussion when she, with the whole it being cold and how cold does it
Oh, I
get.
guess, yeah.
Like, how did she do it? Just sleeping out on the porch.
If that's all she
Yeah.
ever knew,
Yeah.
she probably was like accustomed to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have not liked that. I would not have been as friendly with the bugs as she was.
No. I think they have a different class. There's a different, like I said, that's one thing she was like, exploring, investigating too. And there's a different bugs out there than there are here. It's not. You get into Florida and they've got the big, you think they got big roaches down there, but it's a different type of
Okay.
bug system, and it's like they've got them, but it's different.
Huh.
And that's one thing that she was writing in her books about that because people don't know.
Well, so now I want these books. I want to figure it out.
Well, it's kind of like the squirrels around here. Like, we have brown squirrels, and then Dakota has black ones.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Every once in a while, there's a red one. We actually had when
Oh.
we first moved in, there was actually a red squirrel in the area, and it's gone. So I'm sure it got killed, but
Oh.
probably by the other squirrels,
Yeah.
which is vicious. But the different animals in the area, that's what she was. The native plants and the animals and the bugs and the insects and.
So I need to get her books. I need to read up on the flora and the fauna.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything about it. I thought there should have been alligators. And there were never any alligators.
I mean, it just kind of fit. Like, you think,
I said the South. And I'm like, this is what I know about the South.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I was going on what I knew about the South too, and I said, yeah, it's far enough south that I knew enough about it, but then it was far enough north that there were things were a lot different.
Yeah.
So.
That's so funny. It's like, I guess, like comparing Illinois Midwest to like Wisconsin or like northern Wisconsin Midwest is different.
Oh yes.
Yeah. But like we're all Midwest.
Yes.
But there's a lot of like very specific Illinois things, very specific Wisconsin things.
Yeah, I'm not very well versed in the geography of all the states. Don't ask me.
No. Clearly I'm not.
I learned more as a nanny when he had the map, and we would put the map puzzle together, and I'm like,
Oh, very
I know
good.
where it is. And then my daughter wants to go to a place in Minnesota, and I go, that's only a 5-hour drive. I'm like, how can that only be a 5-hour drive? And I think it's on the other side of the country.
It does feel like it should be farther away.
Yeah, it does. It's and she went very far from home.
Yeah?
She stayed right in that area
Yeah.
until she took that bus trip. Other than that, and then she had to just drove the boat.
Yeah, that must have been nuts for her too, being on that bus with all those people. I know she said she wasn't looking forward to it, but she's like gonna do it. Obviously, she had an ulterior motive that we learned about, at the very, 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 very end.
Yes.
But she sucked it up, and I really believed her when she was like, we've grown this kinship in these letters, my publisher and I think I want to meet him because we've established this friendship and we should get together. And I was like, yeah, that seems right.
I mean, it made sense.
Really, she was like, I'll use this as a cover.
Yeah.
I mean, but I wouldn't have thought of that. Like, when they were like, oh, well, you could have came back. I'm thinking, well, what's the point of coming back and just going back?
Yeah. And then the bus was late, so you only had but the sheriff had it all figured out how she could do it, and that's exactly what she did.
Which is unfortunate that later they were like, the sheriff, they overlooked everything and they did all this stuff wrong.
They should have arrested her, but he had it figured out. And
I just don't know. It could be done. I'm like, but she would never do that.
right, that's like,
Yeah, I was
never.
like, could she have disguised herself as an old man, an old skinny man? And I was like, oh, you're reaching.
Yeah.
I would know.
Yeah, then the woman and that on the bus is going back. It's like, no. They had these, two people, and no.
And I was like, oh, absolutely not. Oh, yeah, okay, well,
Yeah, that's what she did.
that's what I know. I should not be a juror or a detective.
Yeah.
I would have failed.
Plus, I had gotten the spoiler alert before I ever read the book.
Oh, really?
And it's like,
I never got
okay,
spoiler alert.
but
I stayed away.
but it's like, okay, but how did it happen?
Yeah.
That's how
It's
I
like,
felt.
how did it,
Like,
and
it just
you're going
tells
through
you.
and you're going through the whole thing. Well, how did it, even when the sheriff is, outlining everything, and it's like, you still don't think, oh no, that's not what happened. But
Yeah.
how did she do it? How did she do it?
Well, and that was my one issue with it was that it was just thrown out there. She did it. She wrote some weird poem.
Was it an accident? Was it an accident?
Was it an accident or not an accident? Was she just happened to be there at the
took
same amount
advantage
of
of the
time?
situation.
Or, I mean, because most of the time he was drunk to begin with.
Yes.
But they
So-
said,
She said it was so easy. She said it was so easy to get him up there.
yeah.
Yeah, all she had to do was, hey, baby, up there, and he's like, oh yeah, and he wore that necklace.
Yeah.
So it was always like, okay, he wears this necklace, but he treats her like this. So how does he really feel?
That irked me. I was like, take that necklace off. You don't actually like her. You're not pursuing a future with her. Take that thing off.
You're married. You've got, your whole family knows about this necklace and know where it came from and why you have it on. So why are you still wearing it?
And long after Kaya had found out about the engagement and broken off her involvement with Chase, you still wear the stupid necklace? Like, you're a jerk.
Yeah, it's like,
Jerk, just a jerk.
Ugh.
But yeah, I think that's what bothered me was not knowing, like, okay, was the actual thing that all the police evidence of all that could have been, was that actually what happened? Or was it just, whoops, he fell down?
Yeah, because
there were no footprints or nothing. She could cover it, but see, jumping probably could have covered the tracks
Right,
too.
just as much.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what bothered me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, one, I don't know fully what
Yeah,
really
we still don't.
don't. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Oh,
She wrote a poem, so it's like, okay.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we really know.
So it's just one of those, I'm like, I really felt like it was just I gotta tie this up somehow. We will just blame Kaya.
By the way, kind of, yeah, but we won't explain. Yeah, I think in the moment I was so surprised that I was just like, whoa. But now I do want to know, like you say, the specifics. Like, fine, this is what we think. This is what could have happened. And the detectives or whatever, the sheriff presented a plausible route.
Yeah.
And if the
In her poem and that, she was talking about fighting the tides and everything and getting out there and how she had done it. She told
That's true, yeah. So, is that indeed? But I also want to know, like, did anything go wrong? Like, did she have to
Did she anticipate
hurry up
something?
and make a quick decision?
Yeah.
You don't actually know what happened that night.
Other than the fact the bus was running late, so she was late getting out there.
But yeah, I think that was my issue with it, is that we don't know the specifics, you know? You
Yeah.
don't know the
I wanna
tiny
have
details.
watched her do this now.
Yeah.
Now that we know that she did it. Like, give us that moment.
Well, that's what I kept thinking as they were going back and forth, and they had the trial, and I thought that after the trial, so they'd been going back and forth and back and forth,
Yeah.
that they were actually going to have a whole chapter on her killing him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They just kind of left it in the air, and everybody was nice, and everybody was nice to her, sort of, and then went
Yeah.
on. And at the end, it's like, no, I wanted a whole chapter of her doing what she did. I didn't want to
Yeah.
find out, that she wrote this poem, and this is how he finds out at the end. We wanted to know how she did it. You can tell him later, but we want to know how she did it. We want this chapter here. He can find out then, but we want to know now.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
No, they could have told us.
Yeah.
That would have been nice, because that's what we wanted.
That's what I want.
Yeah, I kept waiting. Okay, where's the chapter where she does it? Where's the chapter where she does it? There's no chapter. There's a poem.
It's like,
Oh, you're gonna do one poem? Not a chapter.
Poem.
Everything else was
Pretty sure.
everything else was it was nice. Drawn out and everything. Good.
Yeah, she spent plenty of time writing all the other things. You think she could have spent a little bit of time on that
It's
part?
like say, where's the chapter where she, after she's been acquitted. Not this whole chapter of life going on,
Well, that's why I thought it was not her.
I was waiting. I kept waiting. Well, that's what I said when the airboat was coming after Tate, and I'm like, okay, are they going to charge him? Or what?
Yeah.
And then they didn't. They were just
Because they did talk about, like, randomly, once in a while, things would resurface and
Yeah,
someone would get
yeah.
sort of interested again, but it
Yeah.
would never amount to anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was like kind of.
Yeah. And
leaving
his
you
dad had
wondering.
told Tate, do anything you need to do to protect a woman. So you're thinking,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
he did it,
Hmm.
or maybe they're gonna. But
Yeah.
Well, I think the
missed
thing that bothered me the most was that she was so firm in court. Like, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't do this. I didn't do that. no one should judge me, everyone's judged me, no one should judge,
But she never, I wondered, and I guess now we know, why she never was more specific with her lawyer about like what she did and didn't do. And, if she had been not guilty, you'd think she would have been more forthcoming with all of the details so that she would not be able to be implicated.
Yeah.
But she was so quiet and so much just like, hey, get me out of this. You got to get me out of this. And I was always like, but at this point, like, just let him have it. Let him have all the ammunition he needs to fight your battle.
Yeah.
But, like, obviously, she couldn't.
Yes.
But I didn't know that at the time. At the time, it was just like, you need to get over this hump here, or you're going to go to jail wrongfully. Apparently, wouldn't have been.
But no, I think that was my one thing, and I'm like, because it was just so out of character for her. And I think that's what bothered me the most, was that it was so out of character. It's not something you would have saw of her in the book. That's why another chapter would have been.
Yeah, because if we would have watched her do it and heard her thoughts through it, maybe we could have assimilated it better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, oh, that's how you're going to tell me? I was like, I don't know how to feel. I was so happy for her. So glad she had a nice life with Tate, and everybody was happy, and they had a nice house and lots of books and lots of collectibles.
And then we found.
And
Weird
also
spots.
premeditated murder.
Add that on top of it.
It's fine.
Well, and that's what kind of even shocked me more, is that she didn't tell Tate. Even after she had been acquitted, after all those years.
It's kind of
Let's
unfortunate.
just die in the marsh, and we'll never tell anybody.
Kind of like maybe though, kind of unfortunate for Tate probably, I feel
Yeah.
like, because like
I feel worse for him.
he's probably like, she didn't trust me enough. Like even after all that, she still held that back. She was still protecting herself a little bit to the very, very end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
I was just like, God.
But now he's got to live with that.
Yeah. Now
Obviously, he burned all the letters, but he knows.
he knows. Yeah.
That's a lot to bear.
I'd like to see how they handle that in the movie.
Oh yeah, I've got to watch this movie now. It's
Yeah.
coming out soon on
Yeah.
DVD, I think. Miranda just saw it maybe September.
It's okay. I liked the movie. There's just, I feel that there's so much more that could have been added, but it would have been a longer movie. Like I totally get it. You got to fit it into like a 2 hour.
Sure.
I get it.
2 hours even is a long movie.
It's a long movie, but there's so much I felt like that could have been added that might have helped more. Like I'm sorry about it. We'll talk about it when you guys see it.
Yeah, I will definitely see it because.
Are you like that with Harry Potter?
Oh, same way. Same way.
It's like with my husband will do the Harry Potter quiz. Well, I didn't know that. It's in the book.
Oh!
It's in the book.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I watched every single.
They can't pack all that in.
Yeah. There's no way.
Oh no.
Oh, God,
And
yeah.
I still love the movies though.
Oh well, yeah. We watch them. They come on. Okay. Harry Potter's on. Okay, fine. Okay.
And I'll still watch. I would still watch this. I really liked the movie.
Mhm.
And I know I talked with Miranda about it because we went and saw the movie together.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and she's like, there could have been more that they could have added to it.
Yeah.
Make it a 3 hour movie. Make it a 4 hour movie.
Yeah.
There's so much.
I would not sit through a 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
You never.
not.
Oh yeah. I went and saw Lord of the Rings in the theater. That was long enough.
Oh yeah. I finally did watch the extended
Forrest
one.
Gump. Forrest Gump was so I didn't realize how long it was till I got up my knees hurt. And this was
really?
like when it first came out. I saw it at the movie theater when it first came out.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my, I went to stand up and went, oh my God. I said, I've really been sitting here a long time. But the way but Forrest Gump was a movie that you could do you could make it long. It just, you didn't feel like it was a long movie because it flowed.
And when it flows is when it matters.
Yeah.
Well, that's
That
what-
you don't realize.
This isn't a short book. This
No.
is like a hefty 400-page book or something.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel especially long to me.
No.
I felt like I got through it pretty quickly. And sometimes, like, it's the book I'm going to talk about for the rest of my life. The Goldfinch. It's not my favorite book. That's like a 700-page book, and it was work to get through that thing. But this, I didn't feel like it was longer. I think the longest book club book we've done so far.
So far, yeah.
But it didn't really. It felt good. It felt paced well, and I wanted to read and find out. So that was pleasant. I'm glad for that. then it moved nicely.
And I think that's why I appreciated the audio, because it kept you up to a pace that you kept you wanting more. Like, because sometimes those chapters would leave you off like on cliffhanger-ish. Like it made you want to know, okay, where are we going next? Like, I need to know this information now.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate with the audiobook for that version, but
It was probably nice for some of the slang
yes.
to listen to the audiobook, because I stumbled, like anytime Jumpin' would say door, it would be like da.
Yes.
And I would have to pause and be like, wait, what?
I
was
like, he's probably my favorite character out of all
oh
of them.
yeah,
He's my
him and
favorite.
Mabel,
Oh,
was
yeah.
that the wife?
Yeah, Mabel's his wife.
They're just angels.
Oh, I love
Yes.
them. And I felt like they were portrayed very well in the movie.
Oh, really?
Very well.
Good. Yeah, they're good characters, just lovely people.
I was just like, there's jumping.
Yeah.
Because I really liked him. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really stop to think who my favorite character was, if I had one. It didn't come off to me like that. Like, I liked all of them, you know, except for Chase and the dad.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know that I have a favorite character. I think I really wanted Sunday Justice, the cat. I really wanted her or him, I don't remember if it's a girl or a boy, to follow her home and be her pet. I thought, ooh, is Sunday Justice going to show up? Like, you know, Homeward Bound style? Like, but
I found you.
yeah, I thought it was going to be like a sassy situation.
I was rather upset when he came jumped in her lap.
Yeah. I think maybe Sunday Justice knew. You know, a cat, sassy cat over there. And
Well, she didn't think she did anything wrong. She would just, she was just getting rid of the bad.
I suppose, yeah, she's probably like, I did y'all a favor.
Yeah.
Got rid of the scumbag in town.
It was bad to me, but it was bad to you, and you people just let him keep doing it.
Yeah, everybody knew, even when in the early, I did confuse Chase and Tate, when they talked about Chase dying, because like early on, they're like, there was a murder on the fire tower thing, and then like, okay, you hit the gates running and you're doing the investigation and the flashbacks. I got Chase and Tate confused, so we meet Tate, you know, and I'm like waiting for him to die, because I think he's the one they're talking about. And then finally, I'm like, oh, Chase is the one who gets pushed off the tower. And I had to switch. So that was my fault. But I'm not great with names in the books. So.
Me either. I was sitting here going, okay, what was the good guy's name?
Yeah.
Okay, Tate, because I obviously don't have the book in front of me anymore.
Yeah, I'm not great with names, so I was really under the wrong impression for a good chunk of this thing. I was like, oh, but is Tate gonna die now? Is he gonna die in college? When is he gonna die? Oh, he's not. Okay, never mind. It's the other one. All right, any other standout moments or anything? Because I got more random stuff I can bring up, but if you guys have any.
You might let me jump off of something.
Let's go. Oh, so did your opinion of mom or dad change any after learning about their backstory, about dad's war history and early problems with, like, you know, he really wanted to climb the ladder and make money, but didn't seem to want to put in the time or start at the bottom and work his way up. So he was kind of snobby and kind of created this problem. Then mom, finding out that she really left, really kind of mentally unstable and like worried and thought about her kids every day. Did that change your opinion of those characters at all?
I almost identified with her because my second husband was about like her husband, and it was like, okay, I can identify, but I would never leave without my kids. That was it, and she underwent a lot more than I did, but I could see her just getting that I have to get away, you know, whatever, you know. I even took off one time barefoot, so that's what I'm saying. I could identify with her leaving, but.
With the children.
The kids would have done it, but my kids were. I was not going to leave my kids with this person who's doing all this.
Yeah.
And
okay.
she might not have thought she had anywhere to go, and that she couldn't physically take the kids with her because she had nowhere to take them.
But I think the thing, like, my viewpoints on them didn't really change once I found out. Like, I'm like, oh, I understand now, like, where he came from and why he was the way he was, or why Mom was the way she was. So it didn't really change, but it gave a background. So like, oh, okay,
You could
this is why.
understand.
You could understand where they were coming from. Yeah. But I think the thing that bothered me was, what was it? When Jody and her were so close, like, and then Jody left, and then I was like, oh, I'm surprised you're still here. Where else would she go, Jody? Where else would she go?
Yeah, I was like, do you think I was just gonna go out there and die in the what? Where? Yeah, what?
Yeah, what other options did
But
she have?
she was running away from child services the whole time. She was growing up.
She had a very particular set of skills.
Yes, she had a very particular set of skills. Yes, my survivor skills are very good.
Yes.
Well,
Made that work for her.
Well, and that's the thing that kind of surprised me was that Mom was with her sister. I was surprised that the sister didn't come out.
Well, it said
the
they
kids.
tried to find them, but they couldn't find them.
They're in the same house.
So did they never know where Mom is?
I don't think they ever knew where she went.
So they wouldn't have had any idea.
But the mom, like the aunt would have known. The aunt would have known where she had lived.
Maybe not.
Could have drove to get the children.
Yeah, I feel like I would have tried harder to find the children.
Yeah.
But
Well, and I'm kind of surprised that the aunt was able to find Jody, but couldn't find anybody
she
else.
found Jody?
Yeah, the aunt, from what I remember, the
Oh,
aunt
right, to
found
tell
Jody
him that-
to tell him that Mom passed away.
Oh,
And that's how
Right.
he found out that Mom passed away.
yeah. Where was that search
20 years
instinct?
ago.
Yeah.
When the kids needed you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's rough. The whole thing is rough. That's what I mean. Like the whole thing.
Yeah,
Is
it was a different time and place.
Yeah.
And things were handled differently.
Yeah.
And you stayed with your husband. You didn't leave.
Yeah. I just think she should have taken the kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
I don't think she shouldn't have
But
left.
I think she was more in a fog when she left.
Absolutely.
I mean,
get
she
it.
dressed, but look at the shoes she wore. I mean, she obviously wasn't thinking because those are not shoes that you wear to walk down the road.
Yeah.
And she was kind of in a fog when she left and didn't come out of that
Maintained that
fog for a
yeah.
long time. And then wondered where her kids were. It's like, I have kids. Where are they? You know.
Which was a really sad
Mom.
moment to
Yeah.
read when she like realized. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
that's awful. But I had so many of those moments. That's why I say I would not have picked this because I don't want to have those moments. I don't want to read
Yeah.
books and go like, oh, this is so awful.
Yeah, it's definitely not one I anticipated. I thought it was going to be a more light, airy. Because the trailers for the movie, and that's one of the reasons why I read the trailers for the movies, was so light, so airy. Yeah, there was a murder, but you didn't think that it involved so much.
Could have been, just detective like.
Detective-like movie. So that's what I was anticipating when I read the book, and I was like, no, just a sad book. It's a murder.
Lots of
She's-
sad
she's-
circumstances.
Yeah, she survived this, and she survived this, and she survived this, and
Yeah.
she just kept surviving.
She kept surviving, which is amazing. A tribute to her character.
Yes.
I would not have.
I would not have.
I don't think I would have made it through all those things. A, the bugs. B, everything else.
Everything else, yeah. I mean,
When she talking, cooking the, what was it? The mussels?
Yeah.
Took two mussels.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's all you got.
No.
I wouldn't know.
Clams, oysters, no. He's like, you don't eat those? I go, no.
class.
I don't care how much time I spend in Florida. Because the next time, he can eat 2 dozen. The 5-year-old can eat 2 dozen of them. I'm not going to touch them. That's fine.
Oh.
Clams just smell gross.
Aren't they just a goo?
They're
In there?
They're goo. Yeah,
I was not-
they're snot. I think it's snot. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want it. I don't want it coming out. I don't want it going in. No,
Who's the
no,
first
no,
person
no.
who was like, I think I'll eat that?
Yeah.
What?
Somebody
Somebody was
have grits.
really hungry. Well, the fact that she mixed it with the grits.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. She mixed them up, made it paint, mixed it with the grits. No.
So you got grit snot.
But I love when she goes, the one thing that I learned was you can't eat grits without salt. And I'm like, yeah, grits without salt, and I don't care what kind of low sodium diet you're on, you do not eat grits without salt.
Well, now I want to eat some grits.
Well, it made me laugh because she's like, I smoked this fish, jump in. And he's like,
Yeah, that would be so sweet.
I'll take ate this, it was this. She was, I don't know what the dog's gonna eat.
Yeah, is that what you did to him?
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that was cute.
Poor child. And then, well, and then after the trial, the one lady that at the grocery store, she would always give her a few more, extra change back, She
And-
says it was nickels or dimes, but at that time, the nickel would get you, like I say, the
Yeah.
nickel, her dad gave her dollar and change to eat for the week.
Yeah. Yeah. There were some people looking out for her, which is good. Unfortunate, I think, to me, the reader, frustrating that Kaya didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because Kaya had such a, depressing view of people, understandably. But, like, if she
had
could
a
have known
support
about
system.
some of this.
It's like
maybe-
a kicked dog. I mean, the dog, he's gonna, somebody might feed him, but he's not expecting to be fed, but he's expecting to be kicked by people. So
Yeah.
every once in a while, somebody does.
Yeah.
So what would be nice to her, and she didn't know how to take it, or just didn't, just kind of.
So foreign. Unfortunate. Just unfortunate. Like I said, the whole thing is unfortunate.
Yes.
I'm just glad it ended that she was able to get away with it because he was such a jerk. Chase was such a jerk.
I mean, yeah.
Nobody felt bad about him dying.
I did
so.
not for that whatsoever.
No.
But I will say I'm upset for the way Tate found out.
Yeah, I feel
I
bad for
think,
him.
I think that's the one part of it. I'm just like, it's not like her. I want another chapter to know like exactly the details. Don't just tell me like, oh, is that supposed to be it?
Kind
I'm
of
like,
cryptic poem.
very cryptic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm like, don't give me that. I don't want that.
And then the book is over.
And then the book's over.
Because it's a poem. Are you talking about this from your viewpoint?
Yeah.
Or is it from like a bird's viewpoint? Was a bird sitting on the rail and watched him fall through?
Yeah.
You're watching him fall away, and you're like, okay, is it you?
Like,
You
did
don't really
give-
know, but it's
Don't give me a cryptic
it's
poem,
still
give me the
cryptic.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just lacking. I think because we had devoted so much of ourselves to learning everything else.
Yeah.
We put so much into it to not get that satisfaction at the end is rough.
Yes. No, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
I'm glad, like you, especially because it is a movie now, I am grateful that we read it. Because had I not picked it for book club, I don't think I would have picked it up. And then I never would have watched the movie because I always would have been like, well, I have to read the book.
Yeah.
So now I've read it and I've watched the movie and
Yeah, I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And I'm like, oh, it's a book. I'm like, oh yeah, of course it's a book. I've seen that book. It's so popular.
So
And he's like, well, now you're gonna have to read the book before you watch the movie. And I'm like, yeah.
Thank you for listening to this month's recorded book club meeting discussing Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. If you're interested in participating in one of these discussions, stop by the library to see what we're reading next. Happy reading!